Okie dokie, my artichokes. This is a sequel to one of my very first videos I did, simply titled Corruption. The audio and video are awful, but I do suggest going back and watching it. Now, what makes WDYM different to other channels, other than we're a arts and craft channel? Wink wink, nudge nudge, take that YouTube algorithms. But here we spend I spend a lot of time on legislation.gov.au. I've picked 3 out that I want to share with you. And before we get started with the first one, a little bit of background for anyone that doesn't know or doesn't live here. Centrelink, welfare, New Start, social security, government payments, essentially. And our government has been trialling cashless welfare cards, where I assume they're given a card with their benefit on it, which cannot be used on certain things like alcohol or whatever, and can't be used in an ATM. I at first thought it was going to be just for everyone, but now I'm hearing that they want to just do it for people with problems with addiction and such. So they want to drug test you so you can keep receiving these payments, and if your test comes up positive, they're going to give you these cards instead of just the usual payments into your bank account. I need to look into how it all functions more, but either way, it's absolute bullshit. Now, having a little look through Social Security Administration Amendment Income Management and Cardless Welfare Act 2019, the bit here, Subdivision C, exiting cardless welfare arrangements. It pretty much states that from July the 1st, 2019, you can apply to exit this arrangement if you tick all the boxes. Now, what really got me is what they have here with criteria that needs to be considered when they're judging whether a person should be able to leave this program. And they have here whether the person has a likelihood of engaging in unlawful activity. You know what's gonna spark a whole lot of unlawful activity? If you get people that use drugs, take away available cash, there will be probably a rise in shoplifting. If you're using drugs, you're probably not far off of selling drugs. Straight up robbery, probably worst case scenario if you ask me. Best case scenario is people offer to, I don't know, buy their dealer groceries with their welfare cards. Best case scenario. So other than this being an attack on the poor, it seems pretty pointless. On to the next one. Treasury Laws Amendment, making sure multinationals pay their fair share of tax in Australia and other measures, Act 2019. Now, the first couple of pages where they amend bits of Income Tax Assessment Act 1936 and Act 1997. They legit just put a full stop where there was a comma. That's the only way they amended some of that. Puts a full stop where there was a comma. And then it goes down to some word salad, and the value of an entity is equal capital, yes. And I think adds a GST requirement to online hotel bookings. And remember, this is making sure that Moneybags puts in their fair share into Australia. So that's why this is my favourite bit. A new tax system, luxury card tax, Act 1999, which to my understanding just pretty much says if you want to import a car and it's your car, you don't need to pay tax on the cost to import it. So yeah, definitely making sure that they pay their fair share luxury car tax. Come on. Oh, and I find a lot of acts and bills like this where it's like 1, for the money, 2, for the show to the people, to put up a facade that they're actually writing laws in our favour. Yes, my little Elvis joke. Only way that picture of him is going to be relevant, other than that I just needed a frame. Now I showed you these 2 acts, other than the complete ridiculousness of them. It's because they are acts definitely done by our government. You can tell that those chuds put these together. Now I'll show you what I mean with this last one. Yeah, it certainly seems like they received a bit of help with Treasury Laws Amendment 2009 Petroleum Resource Rent Tax Reforms Number 1 Act 2019. This is the longest out of the 3 I've shown you. I will link them below because it is pretty hey how you going to navigate legislation.gov.au. It's reform of the Petroleum Resource Rent Tax. Cutting more of that red tape, I see. Definitely seems like people in the industry went through our laws, saw what they needed done, did it, paid some bribes, and now it's an act. Removing onshore projects from the Petroleum Resource Rent Tax. Alright, and my favourite bit of this, the bit that's going in the frame. The object of this item is to provide for petroleum resource rent tax to cease to apply to onshore petroleum projects as of the 1st of July 2019. Ah yes, this goes very nicely with the other word salads and politicians get our jail free cards and laws made to completely screw us over. And like the point of the first video I did on this and this one, other than how fucked up our politicians are, and to give further proof to the whole campaign donations from corporations are legalized bribes, I just also would like to stress that yes, Australia does need a ICAC on a federal level, like a federal independent commission against corruption. But as much as we need that, we also need a proper framework where either the ICAC has retrospective powers, but I don't even think that would be enough, because although they've changed the laws to make it so they're not doing anything illegal, I don't know if there are too many laws in place to begin with to prevent and penalise people using the Australian Parliament to further their own gains or financial or corporate gains. So we need that framework and we need the commission. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and have a nice day. They want to vamp up the robo-debt where they're just demanding money that isn't really owed to them from people in Australia that are already struggling, and they also no longer want to claim tax on companies going to get petroleum in Australia. Sounds about right when you're dealing with
the Liberal government.